afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of MSME Masterclass. I am pleased to reintroduce today's esteemed speaker, Mr. Swapnill Thaakre, the founder of Tanoo Quality Management Services. With over 21 years of unwavering passion and dedication, Mr. Thaakre has been a driving force in transforming industries by empowering, educating, and enabling individuals across various levels of organizations to excel in their roles. Mr. Thaakre's journey began in the world of test engineering and programming. Still, his thirst for deeper engagement led him from the confines of a cubicle to the dynamic environments of shop floors and industrial operations. His extensive expertise as a certified lead auditor in multiple disciplines including quality, environment, occupational health and safety, information security management, and more has positioned him as a trusted advisor and catalyst for change in over 200 projects across India and the Middle East. For MSMEs and family-managed businesses to large corporates, MNCs and government institutions, Mr. Thaakre has played a pivotal role in helping organizations adopt global standards and cutting-edge technologies to enhance efficiency and safety. His work is guided by a powerful motto, making life better and safer, one project at a time. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Swapnill Thaakre as he shares his insights and experiences with us today on ISO standards for MSME Manufacturing. Welcome to our MSME Masterclass once again, Swapnill. We are really pleased to have you.
Thank you so much, Amrita. It's such a great to be with you on this session and contributing to the MSME of India through your platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapnill. We'll quickly begin with the first question. What are the key benefits of implementing ISO standards for Indian MSMEs in manufacturing?
Oh, fantastic. See, when we look at the benefits, I would like to look at it from two aspects. One is, I would say, the internal aspects and then the external aspect. So largely the subject was created for the internal aspects, where we are talking about structuring the organizations, creating proper process flows, having accountability set in so that there is a larger, I would say, control over the quality and betterment of the quality. So that is, I would say, the internal benefit of it. And then once you have a structured system in place, proper, I would say, documentation in place, proper monitoring process in place, anything which you can monitor, you will be able to further improve upon. That will reflect upon your external benefits. That is reaching out to new marketplaces, having new clients engagement, getting access to new markets, getting registered with few multinational companies or even certain corporates as per as supply. So I would say the internal benefit is to strengthen your operations, make your operations more efficient, while the external benefits is more from the sales and the market and the expansion point of view. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how can Swapnill, these ISO standards help improve product quality and meet global market requirements?
Absolutely. See, the biggest advantage of being an ISO certified organization is because ISO sets checkpoints at each and every level. The structure expects, the requirement expects that there is something we say first is the incoming quality check, an online or in-process quality check, followed with a final quality check and your pre-dispatch quality check. So based on those checkpoints, the chances of your product failure definitely minimizes. And not only the product failure, but also the reworking cost which can get applied. It is a, I would say, it is a below the radar cost for the company, which may hit your complete top line, can get reduced. So the ISO structure helps, to ensure that there are no sudden accidents happening at the end of the entire production. You are well in position to identify well in advance and take your required corrective measures. So the chances of product rejections are less. The chances of also production waste is also reduced, which helps the company to run in a more operational efficient way.
Let's go on to the basics of ISO understanding for our attendees. Can you also tell us, Swapnill, which specific ISO standards apply most to the manufacturing MSMEs in India and why?
With my experience of almost 24 years, what I can say is that for MSME, the first step can be with ISO 9001, which is a basic quality management system structured to be there in an organization. Okay. And once they have that implemented, they can also look at ISO 14,000, which is environment management system, and ISO 45,000, which is occupational health and safety management system. Nowadays there is a lot of buzz in the global market and even in the Indian market that it's already a mandate that top 1,000 SEBI listed companies should be ESG compliance, that is environment, social, and governance. Now, if you look at that, it is percolating down to the MSME because some of the productions, some of the services will be provided by the MSMEs to these listed companies or to these large corporates. So it makes sense along with quality, you also club the environment management system, ISO 14 and ISO 45, that is occupational health and safety management system. Even the MSME ministry has taken the initiative in the form of Z compliance, zero effect, zero defect. What is that? So zero effect, so that you are minimizing the impact on the environment. At the same time, you are focusing on the quality. So these are, I would say, to start with, these are the three. Then, depending upon what sector the MSME is part of, let's say if they are a part of a food supply chain, food processing sector, then they can go for ISO 22,000, which is related to food safety management system. If they are part of an educational institute, they can go for ISO 21,000 system. If they are from medical equipment sector, they can go for ISO 13485 system. So a lot of those options are there, but I would say to start with ISO 9001. Then there is again a very demanding and a lot of focus which has come on this, which is information security management system, ISO 27001. So that can something an MSME can look forward for. And very important, wherever there is a more of a technical inspection involved, then even they can get their inspection facility ISO 17200 certified, which is with respect to the NMEL accreditation. So these are some of the certifications which can MSME can think about. But I would always suggest start with the basic ISO 9001, and then as per your objectives and market objectives, you can take one by one further certifications in your journey. Yeah, it's a journey, Amrita. It's not at one go. You can we say continual improvement, so you can do the step by step journey further. Yeah.
So, Swapnill, since we're starting with 9001, can you also tell our attendees how does adopting ISO 9001 impact customer satisfaction and operational efficiency for MSMEs?
Absolutely. In fact, as I said, Amrita, my first answer to you was in ISO 9001, we are definitely focuses on the internal benefit, which is operational efficiency, and the external benefit, which is customer satisfaction. Or nowadays, we go beyond that. That is, we say interested party satisfaction or customer delight. So that is the level we are talking about. We are not only talking about the satisfaction level. So when we talk about that, we are talking about, first of all, there is an inbuilt principle of customer focused approach. An organization needs to be customer focused approach, and it starts right from how are we capturing the inquiries, how are we reviewing the inquiries. So very important, and especially in an Indian MSME, what I have seen, that whatever requirement comes, it is not that we are supposed to say yes for that. Once the requirement comes, how are you reviewing your capacity, capability, competency to deliver it or not? So the ISO demands for that, that review it. And then only you commit to your customers that this is how the project or this is how the delivery will go. And then you ensure and align your entire operations with respect to that. Now, once that is done, there is definitely, it is going to lead to the customer satisfaction. And also, it further extends, the requirement extends to post-delivery, what are the commitments? And even if there are any queries or even if there are any challenges, what is the system? Once you have an ISO 9000, you will have a system to even have a proper response to those queries and complaints. Yeah. So we are not saying it will be an error-free operations. It will be a complaint-free operation. There will be some challenges which will come, but then you also have a set system to even answer those particular issues. Right. So this is more, I would say, from the customer focus point of view. And operationally, as I say, one of the basic, I would say, foundation of this is the Deming cycle, which is a PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Now, when you apply that, you have a proper plan for your operations. You are ensuring that you have certain standard operating procedures, you have certain work instructions, certain checklist set in, and based on that, you are carrying out your operations, you're monitoring your operations, and then you're continually improving your operations. This definitely helps to reduce your bottom line and have a much more advantage when it comes to being in the market or with respect to your supply to your customers. And overall, ultimately, it should, I would say, lead to good referrals through that and good repeat business happening through it. So both can be one of the, I would say, ultimate, end goal throughout this process. Yeah.
And how do these ISO standards align with the Indian regulatory requirements, such as the Bureau of Indian Standards, which is BIS?
Very, very interesting question, Amrita. Many times, there is a notion that when we talk about ISO, that means I have to only apply the ISO 9001 requirements or whatever other standard requirement, and then our job is done. The first thing which ISO states is compliance to the legal requirements. So if the law of the land, let's say for India, if it's Bureau of Indian Standards, if you are manufacturing, let's say, helmets, or you are manufacturing pressure cookers, or if you are manufacturing LED lights, or certain medical equipments also, now there is a regulation. So the first thing is, during the implementation, the MSME needs to focus that what are the legal requirements or the regulatory requirements applicable for your operations, for your product. And if BIS is one of the regulatory requirements, then you have to adopt that in your entire, it has to gel with your entire operations. Okay, these are not too different. So within the ISO 9000 framework, your BIS requirements should be known, should be implemented, should be tested, should be checked. All right. So that's how they both sync together. And in fact, I will say at the end, they will have an advantage because they will have now a system to also periodically monitor the BIS regulation. Because these regulations can evolve, these regulations can get much more tighter, much more upgraded. But once you have the ISO 9001 framework set in, you will have a system to not only monitor these regulations on a regular basis, but also continually comply to it and have a better deliveries to the market and also responses to the regulatory requirements as well. Yeah.
Understood. And Swapnil, can you tell our attendees what steps are involved in obtaining ISO certification for a small or a medium-sized manufacturing unit in India?
Very nice. First of all, I would say the MSME needs to identify what standard is relevant to their nature of business. So they can start with it. Though I mentioned multiple ISO certifications, which are there, and which they can first start with the basic certification program, much more relevant to their operations. So that is the first thing. Second thing, what they need to do is that they need to do a gap assessment as per those requirements. Where are they right now? So the journey is from where they are right now to where they want to be with respect to the compliance. So they start with the gap assessments, and they can start closing those gap assessments in form of training, in form of coaching, in form of workshop, in form of creating certain documentations. Because ISO 9001 or any other ISO standard is going to demand certain structured documentation to be there in form. So they will have to build those documentations, implement them. Very important. ISO certifications never happened on this is how it would be. So implementation becomes very crucial. Okay, so they have to implement it in their day-to-day business, and then get internally audit, and then go further and invite the certification agency to conduct the certification audit. And then further, the certification agency will take their particular process where there are a few steps involved. But at least if you start with, as I said, identify the relevant standard, do the gap assessment, do the required training, coaching, build the required documentation required for the standard, implement that, internal audit that, and then go and approach the certification agency to start with the certification process. I think that's the flow, I would say. Yeah.
And since any business or every business runs on the module of P&L, can you also tell our attendees, can ISO standards contribute to reducing production cost? And if the answer is yes, how?
As I said, if you ask me, ISO 9001, apart from even ISO 1445, but ISO 9000 is the most closest, which is directly connected with your operational cost, with your bottom line. So, as I said, to start with, let's say every business, let's say if it is a typical manufacturing setup, MSME, they will have to first incur a cost in form of inventory. So, there is a requirement which talks about how are you planning your inventory. Okay, is it ad hoc planning as per wishes, or it is based on certain review of your current requirements, market demands, and the current availability of the material, right? So the first level happens over there. Yeah. Second, as I said, planning is largely emphasized, this thing. And once you have a planning, it automatically creates more efficiency in the operations, and you are not not facing some sudden pop-ups during your production, which can incur more cost to you. So planning concept which comes over here. Then consistency of operation. Once you have a consistency in the entire operations, it helps to reduce the rejections, it helps to reduce the waste, right? These all things can definitely help in reducing your overall operation cost. And ultimately, when you look at it, uh, if you are able to deliver in a better time or in time, your further cycle of payment also gets much more smooth. Yeah, so delay in supply can lead to delay in payments as well. But once you have, along with right quality, right timely delivery, I think the further cycle also starts moving in a much more better way. And along with that, it keeps your entire operation much more fluid and much more, smooth for the further growth and expansion in the organization. Yeah.
Got it. So, Swapnil, now what we'll do is we'll go on to a couple of ISO standards one by one and try and understand and decode them for our audience.
Okay.
We'll start with 14,001. According to you, how can Indian MSMEs leverage ISO 14,001, which is environmental management, to enhance sustainability in their operations?
I think this time in the business is the best time to look at it, because as I said, right now there is a lot of buzz in the global market with respect to sustainability. Sustainability is a very key word everywhere, whether you're talking about global market or Indian market. And your ISO 14001, let me tell you, is your gateway towards this. Multinational companies, larger corporates, export house are looking at MSMEs who have not only quality processes, but also who have sensibilities towards impacting the environment in a positive way, right? And your ISO 14001 creates that framework where you have a system that the entire operations, what you're doing is how it is minimizing the impact. To further, I would say, elaborate it, largely it talks about how the natural resource utilization is used in an efficient way, and also the waste management is happening in an efficient way, and directly it has a impact on your overall operation cost. If there is an efficiency in energy utilization, water consumptions, or any other kind of a natural, right, we can say wood, you can say gas, or any other kind of this, and there is a waste reduction, because even waste management costs to the organization. If there is a e-waste, there is a biomedical, even that also impacts the entire operation cost. So 14,001 in today's time definitely makes a marketing sense, definitely makes a credibility sense, and definitely makes a reduction in the operation cost sense. With this three-way advantage, I think MSMEs should definitely look at ISO 14001 in a positive way.
Lovely. Now, how does ISO 45,001, which is occupational health and safety, contribute to improving workplace safety for MSMEs?
Fantastic. When we talk about resources in any organization, what is the first thing which comes to our mind? The first thing which comes is human resource. Unless until they are not in a safe environment, they are not in a positive environment, they are not in a protected environment, they will not be able to deliver what is expected of them. So 45,001 again creates a system where not only, I would say, the workers or the operators, but also even workers and operators. Many of the MSMEs also have contract workers and operators. They have a lot of other visitors coming to their operations. So 45,001 create that framework where any kind of untoward incidences, any kind of safety concerns can be avoided. And any kind of safety concern, Amrita, it's not only, I would say, a credibility loss, but it impacts the overall production time. It impacts the operational time. It can create a lot of legal hassles also for an MSME. And for an MSME to deal with such kind of challenges can really become very big. So it not only creates a much more safer environment, more motivated environment to operate, but also can avoid such kind of challenges and penalties to be there, and create a much more safer environment to further excel in their journey as far as their productions and deliveries are concerned. So definitely 45,001 also makes a very important point sense in implementation. Yeah.
Understood. Now we move on to ISO 27001. What role does ISO 27001, which is information security, play in safeguarding sensitive data in the manufacturing industry, especially for MSMEs?
Wow, this is if you look at the Indian MSME journey, okay, and as I've been since at least more than 2 decades, the automation, or you can say computers and data started evolving from 1993 onwards, and prior to that, it was all hard copy systems, registers and chopdi systems, what we used to say. And from the 93 onward, it was the IT involvement which came into the Indian industries. And slowly, we started building the data. The organizations or MSMEs started building the required data. Now, the further game is, how are you using that particular data? How are you keeping that data safer, right? So all this is leading us towards implementation of ISO 27001, which is Information Security Management System. And the latest standard, as I'm talking to you, ISO 27001-2022, talks about not only information security, but it also talks about cybersecurity and also personal data protection. We have to be very conscious to it that many global organizations are very, very strict about personal data protection. You have the GDPRs in the European market. Even the IDPR is very much in the process and getting implemented day by day. So information security will not only help to protect your operational data, your designs, your specifications, I would say your advantage points. Your advantage data points will be protected, but also will create confidence to your customers also, that in case if they are sharing some designs to you, if they are sharing some their sensitive data to you, okay, you have a system to protect their interest as well. So you are protecting your interest, you're protecting your client's interest, and you're protecting the personal data of your organization as well. So it definitely makes sense, keeping everybody in confidence as you move with your journey ahead. Yeah.
Right. Now let's move on to the challenges part of it, Swapnill. Can you tell our attendees what challenges do Indian MSMEs face when implementing ISO standards, and how can they overcome them?
Okay. So the first challenge is, I would say, the mindset challenge. The thought comes that we are a very small, organization and this thing. So that is the first challenge. In fact, if you ask me, systems should be implemented when the organization is at its early stage. Because larger the organization and you are trying to get a system in place, it's going to be much more difficult. So some kind of expert conversation of the top management with some, I would say, the system experts or certain conferences can definitely help, or maybe viewing such kind of channels which are dedicated towards MSME can definitely help to open up that mindset challenge. Because in ISO, there is no requirement as such that there has to be this many number of people. There has to be this has to be the dimension of your organization. So I had a client where I would say where only 3 people were there. So 3 people organization which was successfully ISO certified. So first I would say is the mindset challenge. Then we move to the financial. There can be few financial constraints as well, but now the Indian MSME department, government has a lot of subsidiaries and lot of supports which they provide to the MSMEs. So that can be also taken care of. Then come to the third challenge can be related to inertia of the old way of doing things. Again, like mindset, that is also of one of the challenges, because mostly you will see the people have been working in that particular environment since a very particular long time. So again, having an expert consultant or having an expert coach over there can definitely help to make visualize your resources and employees, that how the systems can benefit them. And it's not about only benefit to the organization, but it is going to be a benefit to them as well. Yeah. So these are some of the challenges which are there. And one more challenge can be related to sustenance. Many times, once the initial effort is taken, we go back to our old habits, right? So for that, in fact, the standard has very beautifully designed few requirements where you have to do certain audits and management reviews on a periodical basis. Even the ISO certification is not a permanent certificate like a graduation. It is, though it may be having a tenure of 3 years, every year you have to go through the surveillance audits. So that definitely helps to keep the organization on toes and continually improve upon. So some of these can be I would say, minor roadblocks, but they can definitely be overcome through taking some expert advice, visiting channels like yours, what you have been creating for MSMEs, and with certain supports, they can definitely move ahead. Yeah.
You've slightly touched base upon the question that I was about to ask you next, but I would like for you to elaborate that. Now, once I'm certified already as an MSME, how can I ensure continuous compliance with the ISO standards?
ISO again have very, I would say, expert technical committees which definitely have sensed this problem. And while designing the standard itself, they have designed in such a way so that the organization do not become complacent. So there is a requirement where, as I said, they have to go through internal audits. So one thing I would say is that organization should have a calendar fixed for periodical trainings. Though they are certified successfully, they should have a calendar for refresher programs and periodical trainings, because resources can change, resources may come in, resources may go out. So one way to overcome this is having periodical trainings to the team. Then, as I said, there is a mandatory requirement that they have to conduct internal audits. Yeah. So even the internal audit helps to ensure that the requirements are complied on a regular basis. Then there is something called as a management review. So management review is a top management review along with its HODs or key resources are reviewing the overall performance of the system. Yeah. And then externally by the surveillance audit. So these all checks and balances can help to the organization to continually comply and continually improve. I always say, if you consider your management system as a vehicle, then your internal audits and management reviews are like your front two wheels. If those are not properly aligned and not properly conducted as per your committed set frequency, there is a definite chance that your vehicle may get derailed or may move to another direction. So if you don't want that, ensure your management system, all the wheels are well aligned and carried out as per the commitments what you have set, so that you go across on your journey of betterment and improvement.
Right. And now regarding the technical requirements, Swapnill, can you tell our attendees what documentation and processes are essential for ISO certification in manufacturing?
Very important question, Amrita. And if you ask me, a lot of MSMEs who come to me, they have this first, scare about the ISO. But now I would say it has become a myth, because like organizations have evolved, the market has evolved, business ecosystem has evolved. Same is to do with ISO standards as well. Okay. So first of all, I will say is there is no as such requirement that your documentation has to be in some kind of an hard copy format with multiple files and big folders and big compactors to store it. No, you can go into 100% paperless system. But when I say paperless, I do not mean evidence-less. Evidences are important, but it can be paperless. So here also you can reduce your cost. Here also you are impacting the environment in a positive way. Now coming to the documentation part of it, you first start by having a manual, your quality manual in place, or a management system manual in place. Okay, followed with there will be certain policies and objectives. There will be department procedure manuals or department SOPs, and to support those SOPs, there can be work instructions and then the recording formats, how you are going to capture these evidences. So we generally say a 4-tier system. So first tier 1 is your quality manual, tier 2 will be your procedures, tier 3 will be your work instructions checklist, and tier 4 will be your records or evidences in which you are capturing the evidences of your manual and your procedures. So that is generally the logical structure of a documentation required by the organization.
Now, moving on to a very important question that one of our attendees have asked us in the past sessions, which is, can ISO standards help MSMEs secure government contracts or tenders? And if the answer is yes, how can they do that?
Very nice. So, first of all, we have to understand the context here. Why is that government tenders nowadays, okay, or even some multinational companies also, corporates also, ask that, do you have ISO certification? I think first we have to understand that. Yeah. Even their procurement division or the team which is involved into selecting the right vendor or the supplier to them are also responsible to ensure they have the competent, capable MSME supplying to them. Right? So you may say you are doing great job. Okay. Your team may say you are doing a great job, but then the certification program is required because the third party is then validating your great job. And that's why ISO certification has got so much significance now in the government tenders or even global market, because it gives them a first level of confidence that yes, there is an organization which has a set structure in place, and that set structure is validated as per the global standard. It is not validated as per their own understanding and own feel good. It is validated as per the global ISO standard, which is acceptable to more than 75% of the countries in the world. No ISO standard becomes an ISO standard unless and until it is accepted by more than 75% of the countries in the world. Right. So once you have that, I would say it creates the first level of comfort or first level of confidence zone that yes, this can be a good supplier. Yeah. And then you have the rest of the systems in place, which they may ask for as you go in your journey of relationship with them to build the further confidence and the supply to your district. So that's why we are seeing more and more require RFQs having that point that with what kind of certifications you are having for your processes or systems. Yeah.
Got it. Swapnill, now let's say if I am an MSME and I already have been certified as an ISO company. Now tell me, how should I prepare for ISO audits, and what are the common pitfalls that I should avoid?
Very nice. As I said, first of all, make sure that you have a training calendar, training plan in place. It's very important. You may say, by largely the team is same and there has been no much change and we know everything. But let me tell you, their job is to deliver on a day-to-day basis the responsibility they are assigned for. which may be purchasing, production, quality control, maintenance, and so on. These refresher programs help them to, recollect the requirements, look at it in a more proactive way, and sets a kind of an environment in the organization that audits or certification is not some yearly phenomenon. Okay, it has to be your day-to-day practices. Yeah. So I would say first is having those training programs set in the calendar, and then for audit preparation, as I said, ISO system is all about what you say, you write, and you demonstrate that. So whatever you have said and you have written in your manuals, in your SOPs, make sure you are well versed with that. And whatever recording system is identified in that, make sure those are being implemented on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. If that is done, then auditing will be more, I would say, a improvement program. Again, audit is not something a fault finding activity. Okay, when we were trained as an auditor, that is the first thing which was coached to us, that it's not a fault finding activity. So even audit is a continual improvement program. Unless and until you don't audit, you may not identify a few more ways where the operations can be improved or can be created more efficiency. Yeah. So I would say trainings and little bit of this, awareness of your own documents can help you clear the auditing process in a good way.
Now tell us, Swapnil, what is the expected timeline and cost for a typical MSME in India to achieve ISO certification?
Okay. So, depending on the organization's nature of business, there is no standard formula for this. Okay. Depending on the nature of the organization, what is the nature? Are they into manufacturing? Are they into designing? Are they just a trader? Okay. What kind of, again, manufacturing they're doing? Is it some kind of an FMCG? It is something like a food or some chemical or a basic, some fabrication activity. So depending on the nature of operations or business, the timeline can be identified. Again, one very important factor is also you have to consider the locations. How many locations the MSME is having? Is it a single location? Is it a multiple location organization? Yeah. So based on the nature of business, based on the dimension of the organization, the complexity of the processes, the timelines can vary. But if you ask me, from 3 months, bare minimum 3 months, it can go up to a year also. Yeah. And again, I think the costing are also directly in relevance with that. If the complexities are more, I'm sure you will be requiring more efforts, more documentation supports, more trainings for the implementation purpose, And if it's a more of a lean organization, then maybe according to the costings can be there. And from the certification point of view also, there are various certification agencies, and every certification has their own price points. So I would say time duration wise, it can be 3 months onwards to a year. And from the costing point of view, it can vary from the price strategies of the each certification agencies involved in the market. Yeah.
Another interesting question, Swapnil, that we have from one of our attendees is, how does compliance with ISO standards impact the export potential of Indian MSMEs manufactured products?
Yeah. So since last 15 years now, there has been much more focused with globalization and even India and Indian MSME is being looked upon as dependable manufacturer to the world itself. And if you see, Amrita, today MSME contributes to almost 40% of the overall the GDP of the of India. So there is a definite now focus on India as a manufacturing support to the world. Okay. But when I say that, and as our Prime Minister also mentioned, it is not only principally looking at India just by choice, but also along with that comes certain responsibilities, certain expectations, that how is that Indian MSME delivering the quality, how they are impacting or minimizing the impact on the environment. And also the social compliance is equally very important, where ISO 45 and some other standards contribute, So if you see, if you have a proactive system designed and implemented in your organization to answer this, definitely you will be more welcomed, and more organizations will be keen to do business with you. Because we have to also understand one very important point here. Uh, the export or the global organizations also have their own commitments. They have their own quality commitments. They also have their own, you would say, environment commitments. They have their credibility commitments to their respective market in which they are currently present, whether it's the European or the US market or the Japanese or any other continent we are talking about. So you are somewhere directly, indirectly, even impacting their market standing. And for that reason, they are very sensitive in selection of their counterparts. So when they are selecting, they will definitely more welcome you if you already are certified. Also it makes a sense that if you are already certified, they really don't need to invest to in the selection process, because if you are already certified, it's like creating a confidence at the first go itself. So more opportunities can come, and then through that you can tap few other global markets as well. Yeah.
Right. Right. How does ISO certification, Swapnil, affect employee training and development in MSMEs?
Excellent. So, as I said, human resource is the most important resource in an organization. There are few requirements which start right from the selection of the people. And how have you identified the required competencies? How are you mitigating those competency gaps? And for mitigating those competency gaps, there is an expectation that an organization will have a clearly chalked out training plan, training calendar. Also, very interesting thing which is there now in the new standard. I would say as a new standard, because there is no new revision which has come as we are talking, is something called as organizational knowledge management. Yeah. So bigger corporates, multinational organizations have their own now, I would say, internal universities to ensure that there is a complete L&D right from the selection of the candidate till they exit the organization. But largely this is missing in an MSME. So by applying the requirements of ISO, you will have your few, I would say, baby steps towards that as well. It will expect you to create a proper pool of your knowledge resources. It may be in form of documents or PPTs or maybe audio files, and at the same time, you will be, I would say, the environment will be created where you are mapping those training resources to the respective trainings, And let me also tell you one thing is that it is not just training being conducted. Yeah. You will have to plan the trainings, you will have to conduct the trainings. There is something called as training feedback, and then there is something called as training effectiveness evaluation, because every training is an investment of time and maybe money as well if you are having an external resource involved. So the system is designed in so detail that it will go to the point of how effective has been that training, and has it really positively impacted your people in their performance. It will demand up to that particular level. Yeah. So if you see that, it also create a good environment for your resources to be motivated and grow in their own personal life journey as well when they are working with your organization. Yeah.
Can you now share any of your known or unknown or known success stories with our attendees, or case studies that you could probably emphasize on where ISO certification has transformed an Indian MSME's operations?
Something very close to my heart. I would say not share the name of the organization, for the NDAs and agreements with them, but something really to be, I would say, get inspired. So one project I had done was an MSME which was supplying to a multinational company since a very long time. Almost, when I say long time, it may be more than 20-25 years. Okay. And suddenly there was a change in the multinational organization at a management level, where they were asked to get ISO certified, okay, or else stop the business or reduce the business. Now you can imagine an Indian MSME operates more out of heart than head. Yeah. So it was like a shocker for them. 25 years we are serving this multinational company, and everything has been accepted, quality has been accepted, they are growing, we are growing with them. In fact, every location where the multinational organization was having a plant, this MSME was also having a plant. Okay, so there is really no hassle or challenge with respect to even relationship and supply chain. But when this came, it was a bit shocker for them. It took them a month or two to really dwell upon it and overcome that. But when they took the decision of implementing the system and took efforts of implementing the ISO systems, they were not only able to supply to this multinational organization, but it helped open doors to at least 4 to 5 other global clients, other multinational companies, where they were not only supplying a category product, but they started supplying some other products as well. So sometimes enforced change in your business environment should be welcome, and hats off to that MSME as well, where they took the decision and they moved on. And one more a quick one which I'll tell you, Amrita, is a MSME which was operating for 40 years. 40 years, one product only. Now, as you know, in India and even in China, many of the MSMEs are largely family managed business. Okay, so 40 years this MSME is only manufacturing one type of product and very smoothly selling. But somewhere the new generation, the third generation which came into the business, realized that this is a risk. Yeah. And when they identified that, yeah, they applied the ISO system, because today's ISO system talks about risk-based thinking, risk management. When they applied it, they were able to smoothly move, keeping the existing product line. They were also manufacturing some other products, started manufacturing other products for other sectors, absolutely not relevant sectors with the earlier product line. And they are happily today doing business with multiple sectors, with multiple clients. Now, this is a very good risk mitigation strategy, that you are not only dependent on a one particular sector. So I hope this can be taken as a good inspiration, and MSMEs can definitely move ahead with such implementation systems in their organization. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was actually brilliant for you to share those two examples, which are totally relevant in today's Asian time, and as to how you can evolve and elevate your standards while operating in a world which is so dynamic. So thank you so much, Swapnill. That was our last question to you. With that, we've come to the end of our episode on ISO standards for SME manufacturing. Thank you so much for coming back to MSME Masterclass and sharing your insights. We are certain that the kind of examples you shared, the kind of techniques you shared will help our MSMEs flourish further. So thank you once again, Swapnill.
Thank you, Amrita. Once again, it's been a pleasure interacting with you. And thank you to JSW1 MSME program for giving an opportunity to share this with our MSMEs. And I really, really hope and believe our MSME has a very, very strong potential. And in the coming years to come, we will be a global superpower when it comes to manufacturing and other sectors as well. And such kind of platforms created by JSW1 MSME can definitely help the MSME to get empowered to move in this business world and in a stronger position. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for recognizing our efforts, Swapnill. It means a lot. For our attendees online, if you've missed any part of today's episode, or if you'd like to view any of our previously done episodes, please go on YouTube, type GSW1 MSME, and you will find all our episodes uploaded there. Thank you, Swapnill. Bye-bye.
Thank you.